Hey, this is John with Engadget, and this is our video overview of the Samsung ATIV S. Now, as I get into design, the first thing I want to talk about is just a similarity to other Samsung phones. Now, as you can probably tell here, it looks a whole heck of a lot like other Samsung Android phones. In fact, if you actually have, like, say, a Galaxy Note like I do, Galaxy Note 2, I should say, you notice that it's like, aside from that Windows logo at the bottom, it is very similar. I mean, obviously the Galaxy Note 2 is bigger, but a Galaxy S3 is much closer. It's not until you go to the back that you notice that the ATIV S has this lovely, actually, silver effect, brushed metal back, whereas the Galaxy Note 2 is pretty much just, it looks like glossy plastic. So this is still, again, very plasticky, but it looks a whole lot nicer and I guess, like, you could say borderline handsome. So, I mean, there's also more chrome on it. And let's see now, I guess let's go on a tour of the sides. It's actually pretty standard fare. Like on the side here, like the left side, it's a volume rocker. We find that occasionally a bit hard, too easy to hit, I should say. On the right, you've got the power button here, and you go all the way to the bottom. That's the the camera key that you need for Windows Phone. Ports again on the top. It's pretty standard. It's just a standard headphone jack. On the bottom, you've got a micro USB port, and of course, there's also another microphone. There is one special trick though I should show you, and that is something that you can't really find on other high-end Windows phones today, and that is the expansion. See, unlike, say, the Lumia 920 or the 8X, one of the things you can actually do is you can replace the battery or insert a micro SD card. So it's maybe a bit harder to tell, but there's a micro SD card there, and there's my SIM. So like for people who tend to, like, say, work long hours or they really use their phones heavily, this is a tremendous advantage because it actually lets you, like, go that extra mile. So this is really the Windows Phone that you want to try if you like that kind of thing. So I should say a word or two about the display. This is, again, the same 4.8-inch Super AMOLED HD screen as what we saw in the Galaxy S3, and that's basically a good thing. I mean, pen tile notwithstanding, the display is still, really sharp, really good colors. Viewing angles are tops. It's maybe harder to tell on a video, but yeah, basically it doesn't seem to have any problems with those transitions. So it's really nice. Now, as for software, well, in many ways this is Windows Phone 8, so you know exactly what you're going to get. For some respects, like basically it's a tremendously useful interface, like compared to Windows Phone 7, because you can resize tiles. Let's see, I'll do that for you now. Like, so you can make it really tiny if you want, and if you don't mind having a lack of information, or you can blow it up to full size if that's your thing. But I normally like it like this. So, and there's your standard navigation menu for apps. Now, in terms of software loadout, the ATIV S is relatively light. You won't find the huge array of navigation apps from Nokia, for example, and you won't find all those little background utilities in that HTC hub from the 8X. But what you will get is like a smattering of apps that are some useful, some not so much. I won't go through everything here, but as an example, there's the Now hub, which is much like HTC's hub, which shows you the news and weather. There's Chat On, which is a messaging app. There's also a Media Hub, which is basically a music portal for that you can shop for music, and if you really want, you can play your music from there as well. There's also Family Story, which is basically a parallel to Rooms for Windows Phone 8. Now, the problem is that, I mean, this is cross-platform, so you don't have to necessarily have a Windows Phone to use it, but at the same time, like, I can't see the utility of it when, especially if you have a family full of Windows Phone 8 users, why you wouldn't just use that instead? There's also the photo editor, which is pretty standard stuff, really. You can like tweak things like like brightness, saturation, contrast. You can crop your photos if you want. Oh yes, Mini Diary. This is also probably like one of the strangest apps that we've actually gotten to see, because all it is like adding photos, voices, or drawings in a little diary, and you can tag things with location, and that's about it. So there's not a whole lot of point to it because you can't share all your diaries or anything like with anybody else. So it's really just for yourself. So we don't entirely understand that. In terms of extra software on the phone, there actually isn't a whole lot besides what Samsung's offering. So you can have, like, basically, like on our version, this is a Bell Canada model. There's a Bell Mobile TV, which is basically a streaming video app. Nothing too special. You can just, like, stream local channels. Obviously, if you have a phone from say Rogers or an American provider, like, you're not going to get the same loadout. But again, this is Windows Phone, so one of the beauties of it is that you can actually uninstall apps if that's your thing. So we really like that because that basically means that you have control over your phone, so you can make it as much yours as you want. In terms of performance, this is actually, I mean, it's basically the same as other Windows Phone 8 devices, the high-end ones, because it has a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4. So there's nothing radical that you would actually get in terms of performance, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because one of the things we've noticed is that it goes very quickly when you're browsing the web. So let's, for example, let's just try going to Engadget. And as you can see, basically, I mean, this is technically the desktop site, just sort of automatically reflows for the mobile, and you can see it basically loaded right almost instantly. This is on Wi-Fi, by the way. So, and just hit an article just to show you what that's like. So yeah, again, it basically goes lightning quick. I can't say I'm a big fan of the camera software, though, because on the Galaxy S3 you have things like burst shots, high dynamic range, panoramas, and things like that. You don't get that with Windows Phone 8. What you get is basically a fairly simple interface. Like if you just like dip into the settings here, you can change like white balance, ISO, resolution, and so on. But you can't really go to town on it and change everything to just the way you'd like. To some extent, that's also Samsung's responsibility, because if you check the lenses, for example, all you get for a lens is Bing Vision, and that doesn't give you a whole lot of options for extra photography. I mean, you can find other apps, but it's just not on the level of Android or iOS in terms of photography, and they really need to improve that. But again, it's actually not too bad a phone. Like, if you're actually into the Windows Phone ecosystem, you would actually probably like this quite a bit, because again, it's got this top-notch design. It is fast. Actually, it's slightly faster than the Lumia 920 and the 8X from our experience. And usually you can get it at a good price. Like here in Canada, for example, you can get it for under $100 on contract right now, which actually makes it a pretty good value for what you're getting. So, I mean, there's a lot more to cover than what we've talked about here. So if you want to actually know everything there is about the ATIV S, you can visit our review at Engadget.com.